Good Friday morning, everybody. Hope everybody's having a great Friday out there, and I hope everybody has a great weekend out there as well. If you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do, as I will be doing long-range weather forecasting videos here daily. 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, Central Daylight Time here every single morning throughout the summer months and into the fall months and then beyond here as well. In this video, I will be talking more about here the tropical weather here across portions of the Gulf, the Atlantic, the Caribbean, and the Eastern Pacific, as well as an active severe weather pattern that is starting to take shape here starting this weekend and going into much of next week across especially the Midwest and into the Ohio Valley. So I'll be highlighting all of that here and much more in this video. So welcome back, everybody. Hope everybody's having a great Friday morning out there. We are talking about here some precipitation here occurring across the coastal Texas into Louisiana and much of the Gulf Coast here over the past 72 hours or so. And this is a 72-hour kind of map of the past rainfall here, the recent rains here that have fallen here and have been observed across portions of Texas, into portions of the Gulf Coast here, into Louisiana, Mississippi here, and portions of Alabama here, as you can see some of it as well. And then even some of that monsoon weather here continuing across the Four Corners here as well, with some of that rainfall near Albuquerque, getting up towards portions of northern New Mexico, with rainfall amounts there of kind of half inch to an inch. But down here into Texas here, where we have all that Gulf moisture, all that tropical weather here, with kind of a weaker system, we do have a lot of rainfall, however, with this weaker system, and that has produced here some 4-inch amounts across coastal Texas here, just near the Corpus Christi area. Maybe some inch amounts here, half-inch to inch of rainfall here has fallen near the Houston area and just south and westward, and then here along the Gulf Coast here across portions of New Orleans, getting up into southern portions of Mississippi, half-inch to upwards of 2 inches of rain has fallen, and then even over towards Mobile, Alabama here, rainfall amounts here over an inch have already fallen here over the past 72 hours. And kind of looking at the satellite imagery here on the GOES 16, channel 13 kind of satellite imagery, you can see, some very robust moisture here continuing across the coastal Texas into the Gulf Coast here. Some moisture in the lower levels, the mid levels, and the upper levels of the atmosphere. Also here of note, you can also see across portions of western Mexico, getting up into portions of the Four Corners, that steady stream or atmospheric river here kind of rounding that ridge and ahead of that cold front that's going to be driving southward with that severe weather across the Midwest. You can definitely see here all of that moisture traveling up here from the south, with all of that here pushing into the desert Southwest and the Four Corners, where that monsoon that monsoonal flow does continue. Looking kind of Atlantic wide here, this is kind of a general picture of the entire Atlantic basin, the Caribbean, and the portions of the Gulf. You have, like I said, that system across the Gulf Coast with all that moisture. You have that steady stream of atmospheric river type of moisture getting up into the monsoon, the monsoon areas. And then you got that system, a very strong system here, and it looks to be named as we get here into, through the day today as well. We do have a potential, strong tropical system moving into portions here of Costa Rica and Nicaragua here as we head through the next few days, and this could bring some very heavy rainfall down here as well. We could see some landslides, some mudslides here across Nicaragua, and then getting down here towards portions of Costa Rica as well. And just generally here across Central America, do be on high alert, as we could have some very heavy rainfall in addition to some winds out there as well. And then there's a system here behind it as well, weaker system, more disorganized here, kind of sheared out across portions of the southern Atlantic basin, moving in towards the Windward Islands, the Lesser Antilles, and then eventually here into the central and southern Caribbean as well. But just looking here at this next strong system here, pushing towards Central America, towards Costa Rica, towards Nicaragua, and then here across kind of, just south of El Salvador, south of Guatemala, and then kind of moving to the west here across the, just south or right along the Mexican coastline there. You could definitely see a potential of a hurricane here actually developing once it moves into the, the eastern Atlantic here, right along the coast here of Mexico. So if you live in the coastal Mexico, near Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras area, getting over towards Central America here, Costa Rica, even Panama here, have to watch out for this. But especially here, the impacts will be felt across Nicaragua, and then getting down here into Costa Rica, and even El Salvador here is close enough as well. We definitely have to watch the threat for winds and also some very heavy and torrential rainfall with the system as well. Looking here at the wind component with this, you can see tropical storm force wind speed probabilities kind of, pretty high, getting up to around that 60-70% chance getting into south central and coastal Nicaragua here as we head through the next couple of days, and especially into northern and northeastern portions here of Costa Rica as well. And then the wind probability is hugging right along the Mexican coastline here on the southern Mexican coastline, just to the west here of Guatemala as we head in towards next week. So that is something to watch, as this could strengthen to a hurricane across the eastern Pacific here. And this is kind of the arrival time, the estimated arrival time of the, the stronger tropical system, winds across these areas. You can see by Friday evening here, this evening, starting to push on land here across Nicaragua, and then getting down here towards portions of Costa Rica, and then moving westward toward El Salvador, right on the coastline there of Guatemala. And then as we head towards Sunday evening, just south of the Mexican coastline, and then that will continue here into early and middle portion of next week, and then it'll kind of move off into open waters after that. But definitely watching that. And also here behind it, like I said, a very low end probability here of another system developing the next 5 days. This is a 10% chance of a system developing near the Windward Islands, the Lesser Antilles, kind of moving into portions of the Eastern Caribbean. So that will be something to watch, although I'm not concerned too much about that. I'm more concerned here about this stronger tropical system moving in towards portions of Costa Rica, Nicaragua, and then into portions here of Central America as well. So if you live in Nicaragua or even into portions of Costa Rica, definitely be on high alert for the potential of those mudslides, those landslides, and that heavy rainfall, as well as the winds here as well. Now, looking into the Eastern Pacific, we got another higher end potential here of, another system developing in the next 5 days or so, really just over open waters. This is going to be here nothing but a nuisance here for anybody. This is moving more to the west, just over open waters, like I said, has about a 60% chance here of development, so nothing too, land-wise that is going to be impacted. But if you are, sailing out here, or you have any boating here probabilities, boating down through these areas, these probabilities are high enough for the potential of some impacts if you are boating, sailing, anything like that way out into the open waters here in the Eastern Pacific. So that will be something to watch as well. As we head through the day today, these are your temperature forecasts here from the National Weather Service offices. You can see temperatures are going to be rising here into the 90s, even into the 80s across the portions of the northern plains, but hotter temperatures across the southern plains, getting into the deep south and southeast where we have regularly low to mid 90s. All that heat across portions of Death Valley, getting down towards Phoenix, we could have temperatures approaching 110 or even exceeding 110 in those areas. And then the Pacific Northwest, we have temperatures here in the middle 70s. As we head through the day today as well, we do have a cold frontal boundary, kind of a weak cold front that'll be shifting its way to the south here as we head through the rest of this, the rest of the day today into tonight. This will be approaching portions here of Ohio Valley, getting in towards the portions of interior New England, and then down into the central plains. We also have to be watching a warm front that'll start advancing here across the front range of the Rockies, bringing potentially some severe weather as we head through today as well. And in fact, the Storm Prediction Center has highlighted a level 2 or slight risk of severe weather across portions of northeastern Wyoming, southwestern South Dakota, and far northwest Nebraska, and then kind of a marginal risk extending down through the front range of the Rockies across eastern Colorado, western Kansas, and then down here towards the northwest Texas panhandle, western Oklahoma panhandle as well, maybe far northeastern portions there in New Mexico. Got to watch that here kind of along that warm air advection here, kind of that warm frontal zone as it pushes to the east, northeast. And then along that cold front, got to watch for some stronger storms here in isolated to widely scattered fashion here from portions of Fort Wayne, Indiana, getting down towards Springfield, Missouri, or Springfield, Illinois, getting down also into Springfield, Missouri areas here as well potentially, and just south of the Kansas City metro, getting over towards Wichita. Definitely have to watch that. And then another zone here, a marginal risk for severe weather here towards Buffalo, getting down towards Pittsburgh, maybe towards the Charleston, West Virginia area here as well, and maybe getting close to Cincinnati here as we head through the day. Generally just wind and hail, not expecting anything too widespread, but we definitely have to watch these storms. Wherever you see storms, you could have some severe weather, so that will be something to watch. You got that 15% risk here of some damaging winds in that slight risk zone, and those 5% risk zones here cover that marginal risk for marginally strong wind gusts. And then everybody here in all the risk zones here have that 5% chance here for some large hail that could be up to around, quarter size or so through the day today as well. The tornado risk is less than 2%, so not too worried about the tornado risk through the day as well either. Looking kind of at what the composite reflectivity is here for the NAM model, you can see kind of along that cold frontal zone, you can see all that here shower storm activity kind of, isolated to widely scattered. Not everybody will see these, but where you do get under these, you could have some locally heavy rainfall, some torrential rainfall at that, and in here, some occasional cloud ground lightning, and again, that large hail, the damaging wind threat here as well, and kind of watching that warm front across portions of the front range of the Rockies, getting up into the northwestern plains here into northeastern Wyoming, southwestern South Dakota, northwestern portions there of Nebraska for some stronger weather there as well. A little more organized across those areas, and that's why that slight risk has been hoisted here from the Storm Prediction Center. We'll start to see a little bit of a convective system start to develop across portions of western South Dakota as we head into the overnight hours into early Saturday morning. Another convective system trying to develop across portions of the Kansas City area and pushing into the east. But again, nothing too terribly widespread in the severe weather department, but definitely could have maybe some marginally gusty winds, some smaller hail with that into the overnight hours, and mainly kind of transitioning to a heavy rain threat. Then as we head into your Saturday, into the Saturday time frame here, going into early Sunday morning, we have that front kind of stalling out here, kind of dropping into the middle and lower Missouri Valley to the Ozarks, and then that cold front kind of slowing down across portions of the I-95 corridor, and then having that, that warm front will start to stall here across the front range of the Rockies, getting into the western plains, and that will yield some warm temperatures ahead of all that stationary boundary type of activity. Ahead of that cold front here, we do have a lot of warm air still, lingering across the southern and central plains, getting into the deep south here in the southeast. A lot of lower 90s to middle 90s here. Relatively cooler weather, I guess you could say, across portions of Texas and Oklahoma, but still the middle 90s can be expected. And then again, that very high heat across portions of the desert southwest, approaching 110. Cooler weather continuing here across portions here of the Pacific Northwest here on your Saturday. And that will yield three different zones of severe weather. We got one zone here with kind of a mid-level disturbance pushing into the state of Oregon, getting into far southeastern Washington state, maybe some isolated stronger storms there, and then maybe watching a little bit more of an organized system trying to develop across portions of east central Montana, getting into the Dakotas, northeastern Wyoming as we head into a Saturday evening, and then along that cold front here, a higher risk of some severe weather as there's a level 2 of 5, a slight risk for severe weather across portions of the Boston area, getting down through portions of Rhode Island, Connecticut, southern New York here towards New York City, getting down the I-95 corridor here into northern New Jersey, southeastern portions there of Pennsylvania, including Philadelphia, Baltimore, getting down towards Washington, D.C., and portions of northern Virginia. And then that marginal risk will extend across the lower Ohio Valley, kind of creeping its way down to the south here toward the northern, Tennessee River Valley as well, and portions of the Ozarks here, including the foothills of Missouri. And looking kind of at the composite reflectivity for the I-95 corridor for your Saturday afternoon, you can expect some scattered showers, storms popping up here along that cold front. Again, not everybody will see these, but if you get under a heavier, thunderstorm, you could have a good rush of wind here and also some larger hail, maybe even a chance of an isolated tornado. However, the tornado risk is very low as we head here across the I-95 corridor here from portions of Boston down through portions of New York City and into portions of northern Virginia as well. This will continue into the late afternoon, early evening hours here before kind of washing out as we head into the evening and overnight hours on your, Saturday into Sunday morning. Looking more over towards portions here of the Dakotas, we do have a potential for an organized convective system. Now, I looked at, the higher resolution models. They're not really handling this too well. Pretty subtle feature here in the atmosphere, a lot of subtle disturbances pushing across the northern plains. So I figured the European model here is the best way to go. Been pretty reliable this year, so I'm kind of going with this right now until, more agreement, comes about on the higher resolution guidance. But right now, the European model kind of painting this picture that maybe a smaller mesoscale convective system, or MCS as we call it, kind of a complex of storms kind of diving to the east-southeast across the Dakotas. As we head into your, overnight on Saturday into Sunday morning, maybe enough fuel in the tank here for potentially some stronger winds and also some larger hail here as well. We'll have to watch that. Right now, only a marginal risk, but I could see a potential here upgrade to a slight risk in this area, so that will be something to watch. And then looking kind of back at the, NAMNS model here, the composite reflectivity for the Pacific Northwest, with that smaller area here of that marginal risk across portions of Oregon State, getting down to southeastern Washington State. Maybe some isolated, stronger thunderstorms there as well, with the larger hail, the damaging wind threat here especially. The tornado threat is very low across this area right now, especially since you don't have a lot of that instability. That tornado risk is really not there. But you can see some popcorn storms popping up across Montana, getting down into Wyoming, portions here of the Boise, Idaho area, getting down to portions just east of Portland here across the eastern half there of Oregon, getting into southeastern Washington. But the next 1 to 2 days, this is kind of what you can expect for rainfall here. Like I said, not much rainfall across the Pacific Northwest. If you get under a storm, consider yourself lucky. A convective system potentially developing across the Kansas City area could drop some heavier rainfall here the next couple of days throughout the weekend. Maybe another convective system diving down to the east-southeast across the Dakotas here, maybe some heavier rainfall. And then you got the coastal Texas system here into Louisiana, bringing that heavy rainfall along the coast, including the Houston area, getting up toward Lake Charles there, Corpus Christi, and then getting across the Gulf Coast towards Mobile, Alabama, and then another tropical kind of rainfall event across portions here of coastal Georgia, getting up into coastal Carolina from Charleston, South Carolina, towards Savannah, Georgia, and Myrtle Beach, and even toward Jacksonville Beach here as well. Could have some heavier rainfall with multiple inches of rainfall there as well. And then with all the heavier rainfall across the Northeast here, underneath some of these severe weather threats, you could have some localized flooding here in like New York City, portions of Boston. Definitely have to watch that since there's more pavement in those areas, but we'll just continue to monitor that. I don't think anything too extreme will come out of that with any flash flooding threat, but definitely something to watch here in isolated instances. Now, as we head into early next week, now this is when the pattern starts to change, and this is what I've been looking at here, looking forward to seeing a little bit of some rainfall across portions that need it across the Midwest here, as there's abnormally dry conditions and even some moderate drought that is starting to develop across these areas. Now, we'll have a warm frontal boundary starting to shift to the north and east here on your Monday, and this will become the focal point here for some lift and that strong weather here as we head into Monday afternoon and evening, as we could have an MCS or mesoscale convective system here diving to the south and east here across portions of the upper Midwest into the western Great Lakes and southern Great Lakes on your Monday evening toward the Chicagoland area, and that is something to watch. But as kind of backtracking, going back to Sunday, July 3rd, these are kind of your temperatures, though, as we head into that holiday weekend here on your Sunday, the day before the 4th. Temperatures kind of seasonable across portions of the Midwest, getting down through portions of the southern plains and the Gulf Coast, kind of averaging mid-80s up to the north, and upper 90s to near 100 along the Red River here and down into Texas. Kind of just a typical summer forecast. A little cooler off the Pacific Northwest here on your Sunday, with temperatures kind of falling back into the 60s in some areas. We'll really start to build that heat as we head into Monday, July 4th. Like I said, behind that warm front, we'll start to see all that warmth and humidity build. We have dew points rising well into the 70s, and that will set the stage for that ring of fire pattern, as we call it, kind of rounding the ridge here with some stronger, convective systems as we head into early and middle portion of next week, with all that heat developing from Texas all the way up into portions of Oklahoma, Kansas, and Nebraska, with widespread lower 100s, widespread upper 90s here across those areas heading into your July 4th day itself. And then kind of looking more at that active pattern here. We've been watching this here the last several days. There's been some consistency. However, I did just look at the models, and they're really starting to diverge yet again, just due to the fact that this is kind of subtle, and there's not really any clear signal, of a huge system pushing onto the continental U.S. So you're kind of going along with, the weaves and woes with this, but really kind of looking more at the devils in the details. You have a lot of wind shear starting to develop along the northern periphery and northeastern periphery here of this heat wave that is kind of centered around the southeast, the central and southern plains, kind of at times creeping its way north towards the Missouri Valley, but generally here the stronger wind shear will be across the northern plains, the upper Midwest, and the Great Lakes. And we really have to watch this, as this looks like a classic ring of fire pattern, as we have kind of that progressive zonal flow or west-northwest flow along the northern and northeastern periphery here of this heat wave, or this ridge as we call it, or high pressure, whatever you want to call it. But really have to watch this for progressive type of derechos. And really, if you looked at climatology for derechos, you can see that ground zero is actually across northern Illinois, southern Wisconsin, and across portions of northern Indiana, getting into Ohio, really just the Ohio Valley in general. And this is kind of the area we've been watching here for the potential, climatologically favored areas for derechos. And this is actually here the area that we could have an MCS, or a couple of mesoscale convective systems move through during the early and middle portion of next week. And as you look at the frequency of progressive derechos, it actually kind of peaks back up here into portions of July, kind of a second season, if you will. So that is something to note as well here as we head towards the middle and end of summer as we head through that time frame. But looking kind of the next, into that Monday night into Tuesday morning time frame, there is a clear signal here. The Weather Prediction Center here is showing some pretty decent forecasts, on their graphs here with some heavier rainfall across northern and northeastern Iowa, southern Minnesota into south central Wisconsin, northern Illinois toward the Chicagoland area and along southern Lake Michigan. Potentially an MCS or mesoscale convective system, and then that active pattern here across southwestern Canada into the northern plains as well. You got the continued threat here for some monsoon weather across the portions of the Four Corners, and then you got here some popcorn type rainfall here across the southeast here as well. So generally in plain speak, that the July 4th holiday itself will actually be dry for most. However, you do have to dodge some showers and storms during the daytime hours across the southeast. We got to watch here that northern end of that heat wave for that severe weather and that heavy rainfall. In fact, the Weather Prediction Center here on their experimental day 4 excessive rainfall outlook has already highlighted a 15% chance or slight risk for excessive rainfall or flash flooding across this area, across southern Minnesota, including Rochester, Minnesota, getting down to south central Wisconsin, the Madison area, toward Rockford, Illinois, towards Chicago as well, and the northern Illinois, and portions just north and east of Des Moines, getting up toward Dubuque, Iowa, here, Mason City, and into portions here of Iowa City, Waterloo, these areas, Cedar Rapids, all these areas could be impacted by some heavy rainfall. Even here, I even missed here Milwaukee. So kind of some major population hubs with potentially some heavy rainfall, but much needed rain. And then also here, as you move into Tuesday's time frame, that kind of moves down towards Charleston, West Virginia, southern Ohio, and portions of northeastern and eastern Kentucky as well. So definitely kind of watching that time frame here over the next couple of days. We'll fine tune things here as we get closer, but definitely watch out for the potential of derechos as we are kind of in that more climatologically favored time frame getting in towards here the early to midsummer months. So that is something to definitely watch. Definitely be sure to like my video, give me a thumbs up, leave any comments, questions below. I'll answer those questions as soon as I possibly can, and also remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel as I'm trying to hit 200 subscribers here getting in towards the July 4th holiday. So please help me out in doing so and pass this along to family and friends. Turn all notifications on as well, as I might be doing another live stream later today, kind of covering the developments into next week on the potential of these storm complexes moving across the Midwest, Great Lakes, and Ohio Valley as well. So that is something to monitor, and I will possibly be doing that later, so also turn your notifications on for that. So thank you for watching, and I hope everybody has a great holiday weekend out there.